was only the second time since Nigeria's first appearance in the tournament in 1994 that the Super Eagles failed to qualify for a World Cup when they missed the 2022 tournament in Qatar after losing to Ghana on away goals. Now, the three-time African champions face the unprecedented prospect of missing consecutive World Cups for the first time in their history. The mathematics are now brutally simple for Nigeria. They must win their remaining two fixtures against Lesotho and Benin, while hoping South Africa falter in their final games. Anything less will condemn the Eagles to watching the 2026 World Cup from home, marking an unprecedented low in the country's football history. In the meantime, the Nigeria Football Federation has distanced itself from a post-match statement that criticized some Super Eagles players after the team's 1-0 draw with South Africa. The statement issued by the NFF's Director of Communications, Ademola Olajire, singled out forward Cyril Dessers and Captain William Troost-Ekong for criticism. It accused Dessers of being sluggish and faulted Ekong for the own goal that gave Bafana the lead. However, NFF General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi said yesterday that the statement did not represent the official position of the Federation. He added that the Federation regards the South Africa match as a collective effort and will not support attempts to scapegoat any player. He described the targeted criticism of Troost-Ekong as unjustified, noting that the defender had previously been celebrated as the most valuable player at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. Sanusi also expressed confidence in the team's unity, revealing that efforts were ongoing to regroup and refocus ahead of the remaining qualifiers and AFCON. Still talking about the AFCON qualifiers for the World Cup this morning, head coach of the Benin Republic national team and former Super Eagles coach Gennett Raw is quite optimistic that he could lead the Cheetahs of Benin to the 2026 World Cup amid the three-point deduction saga raging in Group C. Ahead of their last two games against Rwanda and Nigeria in October, Raw believes there is still all to play for as leaders. South Africa also risk losing 3 points. South Africa had fielded Teboho Mokoena, who had accumulated 2 yellow cards during their win over Lesotho in March, but CAF and FIFA have remained silent on the saga. Gennett Raw's Benin Republic are second in the qualifying Group C with 14 points, just 3 points behind leader South Africa with 2 matches to go. They moved within 3 points of the leaders on Tuesday night thanks to a 4-0 win over Lesotho. So, on a broader scope this morning, Bolivia has officially secured a place in the Intercontinental Playoffs for the 2026 FIFA World Cup after finishing 7th in the CONMEBOL qualification standings. The South American nation garnered 20 points from 18 matches, earning the sole playoff berth allocated to the region. Bolivia will now face an opponent from the African and other 4 confederations. However, the African representative will be determined through a mini playoff involving the 4 best second-place teams from the Confederation of African Football qualifiers. Talking about the CAF mini tournament in November, the African qualification pathway includes a 14 playoff in November 2025, where 2 semi-finals and a final will determine the continent representative for the Intercontinental Playoff round. Talking about the Intercontinental Playoff format, the Intercontinental Playoffs will feature 6 nations, 1 from Africa, 1 from Asia, 1 from Oceania, and another from South America, along with 2 from CONCACAF. The matches are scheduled for March 2026 and will serve as a test event hosted in one of the 2026 World Cup host countries, Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America. Quickly this morning, 3 Nigerian female boxers have expressed deep disappointment after being excluded from the World Boxing Championship in Liverpool due to delayed gender test results. Blessing Orakwe, Mistura Idowu, and Zainab Adeshino were barred from competing despite traveling to the UK for the championship, leaving them devastated after months of preparation. The exclusion occurred after the boxers' mandatory chromosomal karyotype test results were not processed in time, despite the Nigeria Boxing Federation following the competition's protocols. And NBF Secretary General Olale Konfasesi confirmed that the federation was in contact with the World Boxing regarding compensation for the excluded athletes. The NBF is requesting compensation covering flight tickets, hotel accommodation, and all expense paid trips to the next World Boxing Championship in Delhi, India. And back to football this morning. Nottingham Forest manager Ange Postecoglou believes exciting times lie ahead of Nottingham Forest as the Australian aims to end the club's 35-year wait to win a major trophy. Postecoglou said this in an interview with Forest Media Channel. Postecoglou, recall, guided Tottenham to Europa League glory last season, ending a 17-year wait for silverware in the process. Postecoglou replaced the sacked Nuno Espirito Santo on Tuesday after the Portuguese coach clashed with ambitious Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis. Marinakis highlighted Postecoglou's track record of winning trophies at Tottenham, Celtic, Yokohama Marinos, and during his spell as Australia boss as the reason for his arrival at the City ground. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest have confirmed that coaches Mile Jedinak, Nick Montgomery, Sergio Raimundo, and Rob Brock have joined the club following the arrival of Ange Postecoglou as the club's new head coach. The coaches are taking up crucial roles within the coaching team. Two-time European Cup winners Forest are back in continental competition in the Europa League for the first time in 30 years, thanks to finishing 7th in the Premier League last season. I'm talking about Postecoglou's first game. Postecoglou faces a baptism of fire as he returns to North London to face title-chasing Arsenal in the Premier League on Saturday. Let's talk about one man this morning. His name is Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy has reviewed the rejected approaches from other clubs to join Italian side Cremonese. Vardy rejected a late approach from Dutch side Feyenoord, while he was also linked with moves to Wrexham and Celtic. The 38-year-old Vardy was unveiled by the Serie A club on Wednesday after signing a one-year contract with the option of a further year if Cremonese stay in the Italian top flight. Talking about Manchester City, Manchester City forward Omar Mamouche has been ruled out of the derby against Manchester United after suffering a knee injury while on international duty with Egypt. Manchester City made this known in a club statement issued yesterday. Mamouche was forced off after just 9 minutes of Egypt World Cup qualifier against Burkina Faso on Tuesday. The 26-year-old Mamouche has now travelled to Manchester for further assessment, but City have then confirmed that initial scans have revealed the injury is serious enough to rule him out of United's visit to the Etihad Stadium on Sunday. Meanwhile, Shiki Begiristain will return to Manchester City for the first time since leaving as director of football at this weekend's derby. Still at United this morning, Manchester United, and of course their former midfielder, I'm talking about Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen has ended his time as a free agent to sign for VfL Wolfsburg. The Danish player was recently training with Malmo in Sweden, who has now signed on a 2-year deal with Wolfsburg. Eriksen is 33 years old. He was released by Manchester United in June after 3 seasons at Old Trafford and remained without the club this summer and throughout pre-season. At the meantime, West Ham have announced that Lukas Fabianski has rejoined the club on a contract until the end of the season. The Polish goalkeeper departed the London Stadium at the end of last season, but has come back to Graham Potter's first team. Fabianski has been allowed to return after third choice goalkeeper Wes Foderingham left the club this week to join Aris Limassol. Alright, a former Premier League referee David Coote has now been charged with making an indecent image of a child. The ex-official, aged 43 and from Collingham, is now due to appear at Nottingham Magistrate Court today. Nottinghamshire Police said this in a statement. The allegation relates to a video recovered by officers from Nottinghamshire Police. Coote was charged on the 12th of August and is on conditional bail. The charge of making an indecent image of a child refers to activities such as downloading, sharing, or saving abuse photos or videos. Alright, let's give you what action will look like in some of Europe's biggest leagues. In Spain on Friday, of course, that's tomorrow. Sevilla will host Elche by 8 p.m. while Bayer Leverkusen will be playing host to Eintracht Frankfurt by 7:30, and the French Ligue 1 Marseille will face Lorient by 7:45. And of course, on Saturday, action will return. Definitely the English Premier League. Much lunchtime kickoff. Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. By 3 p.m., couple of games are going to be played. AFC Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium will host Brighton and Hove Albion. Crystal Palace will be at Selhurst Park to face Sunderland. Everton will play host to Aston Villa. Fulham will be playing host to Leeds United. Newcastle and Wolves will trade tackles. West Ham United will face Tottenham Hotspur. While by 8 p.m. on Saturday, Chelsea will be playing in London but away from home at Brentford G-Tech Community Stadium. And in Spain by 1 p.m. Getafe will host Real Oviedo, and by 3:15, Real Sociedad will be up against Real Madrid. Athletic Club against Deportivo Alaves. Atletico Madrid will host Villarreal. While in Germany, FC Heidenheim against Borussia Dortmund will take off by 2:30. Freiburg will be playing VfB Stuttgart. Mainz 05 against RB Leipzig. Union Berlin against Hoffenheim. Wolfsburg will play FC Cologne. While Bayern Munich will be facing Hamburger as they try to defend their title. And in Italy, it's going to be Cagliari against Parma. Juventus against Inter. While Fiorentina will be playing host to Napoli. And in France, Nice against Nantes, while Auxerre will be facing AS Monaco. I've got to go this morning. Thank you so much for being part of our show, and very many